Okay, so this question is a linear simultaneous equation. It's a really common question. That doesn't matter whether you're doing higher or foundation. It's almost always worth 3 marks. And if you learn the technique, it's really, really easy. So let's go. So the first thing we want to do is make the middle term here have the same number. So this one says 3x plus 1y equals 8. And this one says x take away 3y equals 11. So what we want to do is make these both 3, okay? And we can make this 3y by multiplying by 3. And that would mean we'd need to multiply all of these numbers, all of these terms in this equation by 3. So that's the first thing we're going to do. If I label this equation 1 and label this equation 2, and I just multiply this by 3. So if I rewrite it out, this is what we'll get. So 3x times by 3 gives us 9x, then we get 3y, and then we get 24. Each of those multiplied by 3. This one, we don't need to do anything with it because it's already a 3y. So I'm just going to rewrite it out again. X take away 3y equals 11. Okay, so now on to the next part. And what we want to do is we want to eliminate these y's. Okay, and if we get this next step right, these y's will just disappear. Now what we're going to do, we need to know whether we're going to either add these equations together or whether we're going to take one of these equations away from the other. So are we going to add or subtract? And there's quite an easy way of remembering whether you need to do this. And the phrase that we say is same sign subtract. Are they the same sign? If they are, then it means you need to subtract. If they're not the same sign, then it means you need to add. And in this case, they're not the same sign. So we're going to add these two equations together. 9x plus x is 10x. 3y add minus 3y is 0. It's gone. It's been eliminated. Keep everything in line, keep the equals in line. 24 plus 11 is 35. So we're now simply left with 10x equals 35. We've eliminated the y's. We've only got an equation in x to solve. This is really easy now. We've got 10x equals 35. We'll divide both sides by 10, and we're going to be left with x equals 35 over 10, which we can write as, probably easiest to think of it as 3.5. So we now know that x is 3.5. So all we've got to do now is work out what y is. And to do this, we're going to substitute our value of x back into one of our original equations. Now, it doesn't matter which one you do. I'm looking at these. I'm probably going to put it back into this top one because of the simple fact that there's no subtraction signs. We all prefer dealing with positive numbers. So let's just substitute into this first one. So what we'll end up with, we've got 3 lots of x plus y is 8, except we now know that x is 3.5. So we can do 3 lots of 3.5, 3 lots of 3.5 plus y equals 8. So this just means 3 times 3.5. So some of us may prefer to write it as 3 times 3.5 plus y equals 8. Now it's a non-calculator question, but I don't think that's particularly too challenging to do. 3 times 3 would be 9, and 3 times 0.5 would be 1.5. So 3 times 3.5 is 10.5. However, to be absolutely certain, double check. 3 5s are 15. Keep the decimal point in line. 3 3s are 9, plus the 1 is 10. So yes, 3 times 3.5 is 10.5. So we've now got 10.5 plus y equals 8. So we've just got to work out what that 10.5 is. Now just think of this as a really straightforward equation. How do we work out what y is? We can take away 10.5 from both sides. So take away 10.5, and we're going to be left with y equals 8. Take away 10.5, which comes to be minus 2.5. And there are our two solutions. X equals 3.5 and y equals minus 2.5.